Hey guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to see legal aspects of business unit 2. In that, we'll see the chapter 4, that is company. First, we are going to see what is company, what is the meaning of company, and what it defines. Before that, if you like this video, just subscribe to my channel and do like and comment your views in the comment section. Let's go into the video. So, the meaning of company means a group of persons associated to achieve some common objective is known as company. In other words, we can say company may be defined as a voluntary association for profit with capital divisible into transferable shares with limited liability. Having a corporate body and common seal, an existing company means a company formed and registered under any of the former Companies Act. So we'll see the other definitions based on various Indian Companies Act and the Chief Justice Marshall. So according to the Indian Companies Act 1956, a company is a company formed and registered under this act or an existing company. Justice Marshall says a corporation is an artificial being, invisible, intangible, existing only in contemplation of the law. Being a mere creation of a law, it possesses only the properties which the charter of this creation confers upon it, either expressly or as an incidental to its very existence. Consider if persons who contribute it or to whom it belongs or members. The proportion of capital to which each member is entitled is his share. So the shares are always transferable, although the right to transfer them if often more or less restricted. The common stock so contributed is denoted in money and is the capital of the company. The persons who contribute it or to whom it belongs or members. The proportion of capital to which each member is entitled is share. So the shares are always transferable, although the right to transfer them is often more or less restricted. Next, we are going to see about the nature of companies. The nature of companies is as follows. The first one here is incorporated association. A company must be incorporated or registered under the Companies Act. Minimum members required for the purpose is 7. In case of a public company and 2. In case of a private company under section 12, it may be also be mentioned that as per section 11, an association of more than 10 persons in case of banking business and 20 in case of any other business if not registered as a company under the Companies Act or under any other law for the time being enforced becomes an illegal association. So if you would like to take notes about the nature of company, just take a paper and just note on the important points. So it is very important for your upcoming everything. If you're going to join in any company, it will be very helpful to you that time. So we'll see the second one, artificial person. A person is created with the sanction of law and is not itself a human being. It is therefore called artificial. And it is clothed with certain rights and obligations, that is called a person. A company is accordingly an artificial person. Negatively speaking, it is not a natural person. It exists in the eyes of law and cannot act on its own. It has to act through a board of directors elected by shareholders. It was rightly pointed out in Bates, Standal, Hell & Co. That is, the board of directors or the brains and the only brains of the company, which is the body, and the company can and does act only through them. But for many purposes, a company is a legal person like a natural person. It has the right to acquire and dispose for the property, to enter into contract with third parties in its own name. and can sue any in its own name. The third one here is separate legal entity. It is based on the incorporation under the Act. The company is invested with a corporate personality which is distinct from its members who compose it. So the entire enterprise acquires its own entity and become impersonalized. The fourth one here is limited liability. A company may be a company limited by shares or company limited by guarantee. In a company limited by shares, the liability of members is limited to the unpaid value of shares. For example, if the face value of the share in a company is 10 and the member has already paid out 7 per share, he can be called upon to pay not more than 3 per share during the lifetime of the company. So next here is perpetual existence. A company being an artificial person cannot be incapacitated by illness and it does not have an allotted span of life. So the death, insolvency or retirement of its members leaves the company unaffected. Members may come and go, but the company can go forever. The saying, king is dead, long live the king, very aptly applies to the company form of organization. Next one is common seal. A company being an artificial person is not bestowed with a body of natural being. Therefore, it has to work through its directors, officers, and other employees, but it can be held bound by only those documents which bear its signature. That is, common seal is the official signature of a company. Capacity sue is nothing but a company can sue and can be sued in its corporate name and it can enters into contracts in its own name. Separate property. Since a company is a legal entity distinct from its members, it is capable of owning, enjoying, and disposing of property in its own name. The members cannot claim to be owners of the company's property during the existence of the company. The capital and assets of the company are contributed by its shareholders, and it's still there are joint holders or joint owners of its property. The company is the real person in which all its property is vested and by which it is controlled, managed, and disposed of. The final one here is transferability of shares. Since business is separate from its members in a company from an organization, it facilitates to transfer of members' interest. The shares of the company are transferable in the manner provided in the articles of the company, that is section 82. However, in a private company, certain restrictions are placed on such transfer of shares, but the right to transfer is not taken away absolutely. We'll see the types of companies. The companies can be categorized on the following basis. Classification of companies based on 5 major rules. The first one is incorporation, and we'll see based on liability, based on number of members, and we'll see another 2 classifications, that is based on control and based on ownership. We'll see the first type, classification of companies based on incorporation. So based on incorporation, the companies can be divided into the following categories. First one is chartered companies and statutory companies and registered companies. So the chartered companies, these companies are those which are incorporated by a royal charter. The companies like East India Company were formed by the royal charter. The scope of activities of such companies is laid down in the charter incorporation. This type companies does not exist in India. A chartered company has following characteristics. It has the basic 3 characteristics. First one is power to deal with its property, and it has the power to bind itself by contracts and do all acts as an ordinary person can do. And the final one here is unrestricted corporate capacity, even if the charter expressly forbids it from doing an act. The second one here is statutory companies. These companies are incorporated by a special act passed by the parliament, that is central or state legislature. For example, Reserve Bank of India, State Bank of India, Industrial Finance Corporation, Life Insurance Corporation, that is LIC, Unit Trust of India, and State Trading Corporation or some statutory companies. Such companies do not have any memorandum or articles of association. These are mostly concerned with public utilities. For example, railways, tramways, gas and electricity companies, and enterprises of national importance. And the third one here is registered companies. These companies are formed and registered under the Companies Act of 1956 or were registered under any of the earlier Companies Act. We'll see the second classification of companies based on liability. So based on liability, that the companies can be divided into the following two liabilities. First one is limited liability companies, and the second one here is unlimited companies. We'll see the limited companies. That is limited liability companies. The companies limited by liability are classified into following: companies limited by shares, companies limited by guarantee, companies limited by shares as well as guarantee. We'll see the first one, companies limited by shares. A company can be limited is one in which the liability of members is limited. So once the members of the liability is limited, the company is said to be limited by its momentum of association to the amount, if any, unpaid on the shares held by them. The shareholders cannot be called upon to pay more than amount remaining unpaid on its shares. His personal assets cannot be called upon for the payment of the liabilities of the company. So we'll see what it defines the companies limited by guarantee. In a company limited by guarantee, the liability of the members is limited and by the momentum to such an amount as the members may respectively undertake to contribute to the assets of the company in the event of it being wound up. And the final one here is limited by shares as well as guarantee. This is a hybrid form of company which combines elements of the guarantee and share of the company. Every member of such a company is subject to a twofold liability, that is, the guarantee which may come effective from the winding up of the company and the liability to pay up the nominal amount, that is the capital or amount of its share, which may become effective during the lifetime of the company or at the time of winding up. Next, we'll see what is the unlimited companies and what are the factors. The liability of the shareholders of these types of companies unlimited. So the liability is unlimited, and in the sense that the members of the companies are liable to the full extent to meet the obligations of the company. However, it is to be noted that the company being a separate entity is only liable. So the company is only liable that it must be a separate entity, not the members to its creditors. So in the event of winding up, the liquidator may call upon the members to contribute to the assets of the company without limitation of their liability for the payment of debts of the company. We'll move on to the third classification of companies based on number of members. Based on the number of member, companies can be divided into following. The first one here is private company and public company. Private company means private limited company as defined as section 3.1 and 3.1.13 of the Companies Act. I will discuss that in the previous videos. If you have any doubts or you want any clarifications about the session 3, just go on to the previous video and check out that. Is the company which is having a minimum paid up and capital of 1 lakh or such higher paid up capital as prescribed by its articles, and which restricts the right to transfer its shares, if any, and limits the member of 50, and it must be prohibits any invitation to the public to subscribe for any shares or debentures of the company. It must be prohibits any invitation or acceptance of deposits from person other than member directors or relatives. So, but as per the Companies Act 2013, maximum limit of members of private company increases to 200. We'll see what public company. The main characteristics of public company as defined by section 314 of the Companies Act or one which is not a private company and in which the number of shareholders is not restricted. This can invite the public to subscribe its share and where the shares are freely transferable. Has a minimum paid up capital of 5 lakh or such higher paid up capital as may be prescribed. We'll see the fourth classification of companies based on control. Based on control, companies can be classified into holding company and subsidiary company. Holding company is a company which holds more than 50% of issued share capital or more than 50% of voting power or has power to appoint or control the composition of directors of the company. So the other company is known as subsidiary company under section 44 of the Companies Act provides provisions regarding holding and subsidiary companies. We'll see what is subsidiary company. A company is deemed to be a subsidiary of another in the following cases. In such cases, if it is holding company controls the composition of its board of directors, that the other company exercises or control more than half of the total voting power and holds more than half the nominal value of its equity share capital. And if it's subsidiary of a third company, which itself is a subsidiary of the controlling company. Yeah, we'll see the last classification of the companies based on ownership. Based on ownership, companies can be classified as under government company, foreign company, one-man company. Government company means there are companies in which the central and state government hold not less than 50%, 51% of the share capital. Foreign company includes the section 519 of the Companies Act defines a foreign company as one in which is incorporated outside India after the commencement of Companies Act and has established a place of business within India. And the last one here is one-man company. This is a company in which one man holds practically the whole of the share capital of the company, and in order to meet the statutory requirement of the minimum number of members, some dummy members who are mostly his relations or friends hold one or two shares each. So that's it. We'll see another video, that is formation of company, in the next video.